Hi there, guys, and welcome to the podcast. Hello, how are you today? My name is Mitch Corr. I'm the host of the podcast, and the reason behind it, of me creating this whole thing, is because I've lived, some weird stuff, some weird lives in my past, and I've gotten a chance to meet some really incredible people from all around the world because of that. So, when I was 21, I worked on a cruise ship and met tons and tons of people from different backgrounds, different countries, different likes and interests, that sort of thing. So we'll be talking to a few of those people. I've got a background in professional wrestling, got trained by Tiberius King in Niagara Falls, Canada, and, got to do that bucket list thing on my life because I'm a huge wrestling fan. And, I'm currently a video producer for a local community TV station. And I also perform at stand-up comedy. So, all those avenues have led me to meet some really incredible people with some incredible stories. And I want to share those stories with you guys throughout this podcast. So let me introduce you our very first guest. Our very first guest, her name is Olivia Hinchberger. She's a baker, a chef, not a candlestick maker, though maybe she might dabble with that later on. But she is an old friend of mine, a great friend of mine from my hometown, Kincardine, and she has a fascinating story in the sense that, early on, maybe only just, I think it was 5 years we talked about it. She had a very major stroke, and, that kind of set her on this path to, chase her dreams. And I'm hoping that, her story will resonate with some people here on this podcast. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Olivia Hinchberger. Olivia, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, how are you today? The name of the podcast. So I kind of wanted to have you on the episode because I think you have like a really cool story. And also I want to start with the fact that I think you have one of the best comedic lines of all time. And this is told to me by your husband, Sam. And it was when I think it was grandmother asked you if your relationship with Sam was serious. And you said it was as serious as a heart attack while you're in the hospital having had a heart attack.
It was actually a stroke. But yes, I got to the hospital and I had taken a 2-hour ambulance ride to London, and my aunt was there, and we had just had dinner the day before, and I was actually having a stroke while we were out for dinner, while I was introducing Sam to my family, and I had to leave dinner because I was crying because I was in so much pain because I was literally having a stroke. And I got to London and my aunt was there, and she was trying to be light, and she was yeah, afterwards my grandma, who has Alzheimer's, was asking if your relationship was serious, and I was yeah, serious as a stroke. And the room went silent. No one wanted to laugh because I was literally on the stroke floor having just had a stroke and was half blind, and my face was all numb and yeah. You have to laugh at things, or else, yeah.
Trust me, I've experienced that very much this year. So you have the stroke, and how does that change everything for you? Because you were working a 9-to-5 office job, and now you've just recently graduated chef school.
So I had originally gone to school for hospitality and had worked in restaurants most of my life, and then I feel like a lot of people probably go through this where they're oh, all of my friends are settling down and have weekends off and are buying houses and own cars and have dogs. And
it's really lame stuff, really, when you think about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm 29 now, and I'm oh, I don't want to. But and I have a lot of it. But I was oh, I'm going to get an office job. So then I went and worked. It was more data entry, administrative work. And it was actually on a rotating shift. So I was working 12s, the A to E shift, where it would be over a 5-week time span. You'd work every night shift and every day shift, and then a week of 8 to 4s. And it was in my first round of the shift rotation that I came off of a night shift, and my husband and I were going to a movie, and I got out of the car and I had this piercing feeling in my head. It was one of the worst pains I've ever felt. And it was as we were going into the movie. And so I was like stepping in the car, I'm like, oh, I don't feel good. And I felt like tingling down the one side of my body. I felt like really weird, really like confused about kind of where I was. And he's like, I think we should take you to the hospital. And I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. And we sit down into the movie, and the beginning of it was The Man from U.N.C.L.E. No, is that what it's called?
Yeah, the one with Henry Cavill and the foot fetish guy, I think. I forget his name.
Or is it the cannibal guy?
Yes, cannibal guy.
Yeah, okay, I don't remember.
Allegedly. I don't know.
And the beginning of the movie starts with subtitles, and I couldn't read them, and I was like, I think you should take me to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, and they told me I was just having a migraine. I was like, I feel like I can't see right. Like when I cover my one eye, I can see. When I cover my other eye, I can see. So like I know that I'm not blind, but I feel like there's something wrong. And she like snapped in the four corners around my face and said, you're fine. You're just having a migraine. I get them all the time. And then she gave me migraine medication and sent me on my merry way. And 2 days later was like calling my mom being like, I think I need to go back to the hospital, but I don't want to be called a baby because the doctor told me I just have a migraine and migraines can last like days. And she was like, well, why don't you call telehealth and see what they say and then make a decision. And telehealth was like, you should get to the hospital within an hour. And so I called my mom back and I was like, I can't drive myself there. Like I can't really see. It's you have to come pick me up. And the doctor was like, yeah, it could be a migraine, but I feel like it's something more sinister. And my dad drove me to a hospital to Walkerton because we don't have a CT scanner yet. And we could hear the person who did the reading was like waiting for us to get there because it was the end of the day. And we could hear her talking to someone on the phone being like, yeah, her dad just drove her. Well, are you going to send her straight from here? Or do we send her back to Kincardine first? And me and my dad are like, this isn't great. This is not a good stuff.
Well, I mean, like, so like my mom's been in the hospital, as you know, and she thought it was just her back that gave out on her, right? And it turns out to be it was GBS, which is like a nerve damaging thing. And so like it was confused for my dad because they went to Kincardine and then he went to get stuff and then came back to Kincardine Hospital and she wasn't there and she was on her way to London. It's insane how like it's just you never know what's gonna happen. Like I mean, I remember specifically when my wife and I were living in Newfoundland, she had gotten that cat bite on her hand and she had to get pumped with drugs, right? Every I think 6 or 12 hours, some of that. So constant back and forth to the hospital. Anyways, like it started to hurt her, right? Like it started to hurt her veins, and she would tell the nurse, and the nurse would be like, "Oh, you're fine, honey," blah blah blah. And then like I would say something, and they would change it, and I'm like, man, women have it real rough sometimes when they're not even paid attention to like what they're saying is wrong, this sort of thing.
You have to be your own advocate because people just won't listen to you. And especially if you're a young woman, they're not going to take you seriously.
I think you really need, and I think like a lot of people were like, oh, she's a real bitch. Like, well, she's kind of has to be to kind of get her point across sort of thing, It's unfortunate I had to say that, but it seems like one of those things.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the husband in the background.
Yes.
Hey, Sam, what's going on, man?
I'm sorry I didn't sit in a very...
It's okay.
Our house doesn't really have very many of those.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So you have the heart attack, and so like
stroke,
sorry. And did that kind of flip a switch for you to like get out of the 9-to-5 and like go to chef school, or because I know you were baking beforehand?
I feel like I don't learn any lessons very quickly. So my cardiologist kept being like, so what do you do? And I was like, I do administrative work. And he was like, is that what you really want to be doing? And I just kept hearing his voice in my head being like, no, if you want to change, like now's the time, you can change. So then I just like kind of hopped from administrative job to administrative job, and I kept thinking that the next one would be the one that I would like, and it never was. And I think I did that for So my stroke was in 2015. I had heart surgery in 2016. I quit my job to go to chef school in 2019.
Yeah. But all that while you were baking, right? So like, how were you always a baker, or was that something that you just were like, I want to try this and see how it goes? Because I've had some of your food. It is delicious.
Always liked baking. I'm a very big fan of baking. I like how technical it is, and I like how like the tiniest changes can make like the world of difference. So yeah, it was something I had always said to Sam. It's always a matter of like when, not if, I go to culinary school. And then one day I was just like, I'm just going to apply and see what happens. Like I'm just going to apply to go to Stratford and see if I get in. And I did, and it was like crazy wild decision. That was by far the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I just finished like a month ago. It was so hard.
Yeah, and so like at that same time, you are in the midst of like, trying to figure your career, and then you're also, I think, getting married or planning your wedding at the same time. I mean, like, so like, how crazy was the past like 2-3 years of your life, really?
The last couple of years have been nuts, but I actually got married before I went back to school. So there was,
Which I sorry, but like that sounds even more insane. Like you get married and like you want to make a career, like a life-changing decision sort of thing after already a life-changing decision.
It was 5 months after I got married. I was like, okay, so Sam, I'm going to move an hour and a half away and pursue an apprenticeship. And he was like, I am married to the best person in the world. I know everyone should like their spouse, but like Sam is the most supportive human I think that I've ever met. And he's like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah. He was like, I don't just go to work to accumulate wealth and die in Bruce County. Like, do what you want to do.
Yeah, no, that's fucking awesome, man. I mean, so you apply. What is it like when you get that notification that you got in?
I was so excited, and I quit my job the next morning.
Just like a badass bitch, just like fucking, I quit, done.
I wasn't gonna be going to school for like another 6 months either. So I was like, well, I'd rather just like do something that's something I want to do leading up to this. So that was when I started doing my like market baking business, and I served that summer just to save up some extra cash and actually do something I liked leading up to going to school. And then I went to school, and it was wild. It was so intense. It was my best friend from school, Karen. She has a PhD in agricultural economics from Purdue, and she said that this was harder than getting her PhD.
What?
Yeah.
How is that even possible? Like, I mean, so like I've worked in kitchens a lot when I was younger. I know how stressful that environment can be. I've also seen the movie Burnt with Bradley Cooper, and that seems like even more like when you get higher and higher up, it seems just like it gets more and more insane. So like you were baking and then you went into full chef mode. So like what were some of the things that you were like really wanted to get your hands on first?
I thought that I would be really into butchery, and I thought that I would be really into I think I went into it being like, I want to be a baker. And then I got there and I got like swept into the like fine dining atmosphere and all the cool things you can do. And then the pandemic happened, and I worked at a restaurant in town, but like a gastropub. And then I was like, oh wait, I actually don't like doing this at all. I don't want to work on the line. This is not not for me. No. I like the food and I like cooking, but I think I'm a baker. Like, and there was I've been like dabbling back and forth with vegetarianism because I've been a vegetarian before. I was vegan for a little bit. My hair started falling out, my nails started breaking off, and then I was like, I can't.
Not a good look for a 29-year-old.
This is not sustainable for me. So then I like reintroduced meat back into my life, and I'm like, I would say that I am omnivorous, but I went to school and I was always like, yeah, we should be using all parts of the animal. Like, if you're going to use the animal, you should be eating everything. And I still mentally feel that way. But I spent 1 week at school where I worked with monkfish for 2 straight days, which, if you have never seen monkfish, it is the ugliest thing in the entire world. And it also is a bottom feeder and it's full of worms. So I was like picking worms out of this fish, and they were like wrapping themselves around the knife, and I'm like,
It's like a more intense version of like dissecting a frog and when you're in high school sort of thing.
I was dry heaving. Like, everyone else is like doing their stuff, and I'm like at my own desk and I'm like and then the very next day was awful day in larder class, and we were dealing with like kidneys and brains and hearts and stuff, and then I was like, I can't eat. Maybe the answer for me is just like not eating it for a bit. But now I'm like, I need to like respect that these are like parts of the animal that should be used, but like maybe I'm just gonna take a break for a little bit.
So you decided that you want to be a baker now, and you were telling me earlier that you would bake stuff and sell it at the Promenade in Kincardine, which is like during the pandemic. We closed off a street in Kincardine, and you would sell stuff there. So how rewarding is it for you to, see people buy your stuff, and then like I know people are like very hungry and like they try it in front of you. What is it like to see that, like to quote Office Space, that O face when they bite into your food?
It feels really good. I really like to make food that makes people happy, and yeah, it's really nice. I would say the other thing that I like about being able to do my own thing is that I really get to do my own thing. I'm not forced to make things because that's what has always been made, or that's what people expect. I feel like starting my own thing, I can be whatever I want. And if I want to make something different every single week, then I'll just be the person that makes something different every week, and that'll be what my customers expect. I also feel like it gives me the freedom to be able to source things in a way that I want, and also like baking in a place where I don't have to spend a crazy amount on rent allows me to spend more money on ingredients that are important to me. Mm-hmm. Which like isn't always feasible when you've got a lot of overhead costs. So
yeah. So like with baking, so I want to talk about this too as well, because like when you had your stroke, you kind of changed like physically as well. Like you've lost so much weight. You look fantastic. As a baker, you're working with a lot of sugars and everything. So like, how do you balance that? How you eat and what you make?
I feel like this is not the answer you are expecting, or what I feel like. How do I word this? I wish I never lost the weight. I wish, and I feel like people are like, what? There's no way you feel that way. I 100% wish I never lost the weight. I wish that I had have just learned to like myself instead. I feel like that would have been a lot more valuable, because I got into like a really bad headspace with food, because I was like, I had a stroke and I had heart surgery and now I need to be healthy. And I got really into Weight Watchers, and I worked for Weight Watchers, and I feel a lot of regret about the like values that maybe I pushed on other people that maybe led to them having not so healthy relationships with food. But like a couple years ago, you would have seen me baking and I would have like chewed it to try it, and then I would have spit it in the garbage. Like I was weighing everything, like my lettuce for a salad. Like now I'm just trying to maybe not be body positive, but be body neutral. Like my body has survived a lot, and I enjoy baking and I enjoy food, and I just want to be able to like exist and not have my body be the thing that I'm always thinking about. And it's hard because there's so much pressure all the time. And one thing that I've learned is that like I will never comment on someone's weight anymore, like whether they've lost weight or not, like because you don't know what someone's going through. You don't know where their mental health is at, where their like physical health is at, because body weight isn't actually a great indicator of health. There's so many studies proving that. Like it just really isn't. So yeah, I'll eat the treats. I'll try to only eat as much as like till I'm full or until I've like gotten the enjoyment of it. I've tried not to binge eat, but food makes me happy.
But you're also like active too. You're always going for walks and stuff with your dog, which, all right, so your dog, let's talk about him for a second. What breed is he? How big is he? And how do you guys sleep at night? Because I know he's probably a bed dog.
He is a Bernese Mountain Dog. He's 5 years old. His name is Remy. He is 95 pounds, which is actually like not that big for a Berner. He's like a tall, skinny Berner.
He's literally the biggest dog I've seen in Kincardine, period. Like you can go down to Grey Matter Brewery and like he's there with you and Sam.
Yeah, he is a sweet baby angel. I love him so much. He does not sleep in the bed because he is such a bed hog. Like he also thinks he's a lap dog, so he will crawl on top of me. He will flop on top of me, and then I will be suffocated. So he can only sleep in the bed if I am like, if I'm feeling like especially lovey and Sam is on night shifts, because 3 people, like full-size human-sized people, cannot fit in our queen-size bed.
So like, is that part of your how you stay fit is like just moving him off of you sort of thing? Like very, very strong chest exercise, like, oh, get off, I can't breathe sort of thing.
He's so like, he doesn't understand personal space at all. And like if I'm laying on the couch, he will come up on the couch and wedge himself between me and the back of the couch. I'm like, you don't fit there. It's not fit.
No, I do, Mommy. Swear, I can fit anywhere. Look at me go.
What he does has been driving me nuts the most lately he gets like wedged under the bed at the foot of the bed. He gets like between the closet and he lays down and he like spreads his legs out, and then his like torso is under the mattress and he's stuck. So then he's like but he won't bark or anything, and he'll just lay there, I'm pretty sure for hours, until eventually one of us wakes up in the morning and we hear,
oh, the poor buddy.
And he has to go lift the bed up to get the dog out.
So no diet for him though. He's just big.
He's a big guy.
So you've now graduated chef school. So like the cool thing that I found was that like you had towards the end of you graduating, you had these like unique nights where like you had to serve dinner in Stratford. So the school was Stratford School Chef School, right?
Stratford Chefs School, yeah.
And you would have these like one nights where like you'd have like a specialty dining. So like take me through what was the first night to the last night you had, which me and my wife and I attended.
So a bit of background: when you're in first year, you're just learning techniques, and then in second year, I would say half of your time, maybe 60% of your time, is running the school's restaurant. So there's, depending on how many people are there, you're split into a certain number of groups. We were in 2 groups. There was 9 people in each group, and so you would cycle through 9 positions. So you would start as, at first we had a swing, but then some people left. So then we would start as tourneau. When you're tourneau, you would do staff meal and make bread. Then you'd go to pastry, make pastry. Then you'd be garde manger, making like the salad or cold appetizers or helping out where you needed to be. Entremetier, you were doing like hot veg. And then you would be sauce, where you would be doing the like protein or the main hot component of the main course. Sorry.
It's okay.
Just came to drop off a USB of a TV show for me.
Which TV show?
I don't remember what it's called. Do you watch Taskmaster?
No, I try and avoid reality TV as much as possible.
It's more of it's a game show.
Yeah, I just don't watch a lot of TV, to be honest.
Anyway, so it's one.
Maka watches 90 Day Fiance, and I'm just like, I feel like that's the evolution of TV right now. I'm just like, nah, I'm just gonna stick to sports and stuff.
I would say that these two shows are not even comparable.
I know. We don't have cable. We just have internet. So I mean,
okay, it's just on YouTube. But anyways, it's one of the people from Taskmaster this season. It has a show in New Zealand, and so she was dropping it off for me.
Oh, nice.
So then your sauce.
Yeah. Back to the topic at hand.
So when your sauce, you would do like the hot component or main component of the main course or protein. And then your next position in the kitchen would be student chef before you would go to front of house and be host or sommelier or maitre d'hotel.
So you're really learning like all the ins and outs of a restaurant setting.
Yeah, you do every single part. So we had 4 separate dinners. So I did each position 4 times. And so when you're student chef, you're responsible for the purchase order for the menu. You're responsible for making, like, they're called taps, but it's basically like schedules, dividing out tasks for who's going to do what at what time people should be at when they're at each stage of the dish and of the day and with their course. And then you get evaluated on all of that. And then you also, for 2 of your labs, you have to write research papers on them. And then delivery plans where you have to go through everyone's resume and talk and like discuss what their like skills are and their experience, and then find ways that they will need assistance or like explain the ways that they'll need assistance in order to be able to get to the point that they can do the task, whether that's like demonstrations or if they already know it or just like working together with someone else. So you have to like write all of that out.
So did your background in administration help you with that kind of role and like designating people to do certain things, or?
I think that it probably helped, but the instructors, I would say for the most part, really want to set you up for success. So I was really lucky to work with instructors that, like, if I had any questions, they were really helpful and they genuinely wanted to see me succeed. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, sorry. So like, what was the hardest position do you think that you got to experience?
Oh, I hated Tourneau. It was the worst.
Which one was Tourneau again?
Making staff meal and bread. I love making bread. Making bread is one of my favorite things, but I hated making staff meal. And I understand that staff meal is important, and I love eating staff meal, and I like the concept of staff meal, but making staff meal was what my nightmares were made of. I hated it because you go through all of the leftovers that are in the fridge, and you're like, how can I make a meal out of 3 pickles, a like bag of chicken scraps and some like random sauce, and you're like, and now I have to like work magic to make this into a meal, and it would always stress me out. I made pizza twice because I was like, I'm just gonna throw all this stuff on some dough.
Oh no, pizza is a good go-to. We live in London now, and there's so many like cool pizza spots, but like I really think I need to kind of take a break from pizza personally. Just like
we ate so many stews, like it would, and I can't eat a stew for a long time because I tried to make a stew over the Christmas break, and even by then I was like, oh, I'm so sick of stew.
I remember this one time I had bought a bunch of steaks and I brought them home to Kincardine for like a barbecue, and I was ready to go Sunday, and I was like, where are my steaks? And my mom had cut them all up and put them into a stew. So pissed. The stew was fantastic, but I'm so pissed.
So you worked in kitchens, like the deli containers, the like liter.
Yeah.
So they always have a smell about them. Like there's always a smell. And I swear that the stews they all had a flavor to them, and it was deli container smell. It was just like everything and nothing all at once. It was.
I mean,
and sometimes we'd have shepherd's pie, and people were like, Olivia, how do you feel about this shepherd's pie? I was like,
I'm always surprised how like they're just like stuck in like thick plastic containers, like in a fridge, and you got like the little droplets of water on top. Like this doesn't seem good.
And when we'd have shepherd's pie, I was like, it's just stew with a hat. Like it's still a stew.
A white fluffy hat.
At least it's got an accessory.
Yeah, it's oh Jesus.
Yeah, so it was good. I found it I enjoyed level 1 much more than I enjoyed level 2. I liked going in and like doing the recipes and writing my papers and blah 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 and having a good time, and it was stressful and hard, but manageable. I found level 2 not as manageable. I think I have a lot of anxiety, and so every single day when you're at school, you're getting evaluated. Like your tourneau, you're getting marked. Your pastry, you're on pre-pro. Every single thing you do, you're getting evaluated on, and the like anxiety of that was just like it was a lot, and
So
I would
so
cry like every day.
so that being said, though, like you said that the teachers like would want you to be successful. So like, you know, you're going through a stressful thing, but it seems like it was a very good and positive environment. So maybe speak onto that. I mean,
Yeah, I would say for the most part, but like I'm sure a lot of people can relate to the they themselves can be their own harshest critic. So my example of this would be I was cooking lamb saddles, and I was saucier, and I'm like cooking these and just crying.
this lamb chop, it tastes a bit salty. It's my tears. I'm sorry.
I'm seasoning it with my own tears. It's fine. So I'm like cooking this lamb saddle, and I'm just crying. And my chef instructor was like, "How do you think you did today?" And he had never asked me how I thought I had done today before. And then I just like full on tears, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. What is happening here?" I was like, I feel like I was incompetent. And he was like, I was gonna say, I thought you did a really good job. Those lambs look really good. You were really hard on yourself. I'm like, I know. It was not the first time I had cried over the proteins. I did duck confit. I cried through that entire course just because I was so stressed. I like the concept of doing sauce, but I don't like doing sauce.
So it's interesting because like you moved an hour and a half away from Kincardine to go to Stratford to school after just getting married. So I feel like that might have added to the stressfulness of your environment, maybe.
I actually don't think it was that bad. I took the dog with me, and Sam came up all the time. Like it was pretty fine. I am just very hard on myself. My one instructor said to me, Olivia, you don't have to give it everything 100%. Giving something 80% is still very good. But like, I can't do that. I can't. She's like, you need to figure out how to prioritize things, because like sometimes you can just like ask for an extension or do like let something slide. Like not everything is a 10 out of 10 on the importance scale. And I was like, yo, you're right. Yes, I should definitely do that while I'm like staying up till 2 a.m. to make sure that I get everything done on time and don't ask for a single extension.
So the last dinner you had, my wife and I went to, and you had like a celebrity chef with you, correct? Or is that every single time?
No. So the first set of dinners was the series is called Modern Classics. So it's just like kind of getting everyone up to speed on like what the expectations are. So it's like very like classical fine dining food. The second series is International Inspirations, and you're assigned a chef, like a famous chef. Mine was Anne-Sophie Pick, and you make one of their menus. And then the third one was a student design menu where you made your own menus. And then the fourth series was the Canadian, or usually it's like the guest chef series, and there's an international guest chef. Last year it was Jenna Tomasca, but this year we couldn't do that because of COVID. So it was a Canadian guest chef series, and mine was Rafa Covarrubias from Hexagon in Oakville. And he was a delight.
Yeah, tell me the experience about being able to kind of like pick the ear of like a chef's sort of thing and like hear their stories.
I feel like I was probably just too nervous to really like get as much out of the experience as I could have. My student design menu also went very poorly. It was a really tough day. And then so the next time I was student chef, I was with Rafa, and I was just so nervous of another lab going poorly that I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I could have, or got as much out of it as I probably should have. But like working with him was wild, like in like the best possible way, because he's just has so much knowledge. He's so experienced and just like so naturally good at things. Like we got to work with a halibut, and I've never seen someone like so gracefully fillet a giant fish, any fish, even a small fish. But this fish was like this big, and he's like just like breezing through this fillet of fish. Like, let me demonstrate to everyone how to do this, and like made it look like the easiest thing in the entire world. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense because you're here because you're good.
And which chef was this again?
My chef, Rafael Covarrubias.
Okay, so people should try and go check his stuff out then.
They should definitely, and they should also follow him on Instagram because he posts really beautiful things. And
what's his Instagram?
I think it's Rafa Covarrubias.
All right, awesome. Now, I think the cool thing about being from Kincardine is that like when we went to dinner, I know them. How cool was it to have the support of your hometown come out every time you had a dinner?
It was so great. I don't know if you knew this part, but when your parents came to the first dinner for my Modern Classics series, it was almost exclusively people from the Kincardine Curling Club. And my friend Karen was the maitre d', and she started it by saying, I just want to thank everyone from the Kincardine Curling Club for agreeing to hold their AGM here this year. But yeah, it was nice. I would say through the entire like 4 dinners that I had, there was like 30 seats available each dinner because of like restrictions and stuff. And of those 120 people, I probably didn't know 8 of them. Like every single time it was like either like a combination of my family and just like people from Kincardine. I would say specifically the Kincardine Curling Club has been like my biggest cheerleading team. Like joining the Kincardine Curling Club changed my entire life. If it was a cult, I would have already drank the Flavor Aid. Like, they're just always there for you. I joined the curling club, and that's where I met my husband, and that's where I met you, and that's where I met most of the like close friends that I have now. It was a really good decision.
I think that's a big misconception to certain people about curling. They think that, it's this game and it's like, it's not really a sport, but like, you don't go to curling to, play. You go for the social environment. You meet people, you share stories, you make best friends. And, it's also a fun like game to play. And it is like, I don't know about you, but sweeping is like the hardest thing I've done I've ever taken, like coming back from a cruise ship and then coming to curl and like sweeping. I'm like, oh, my side is just on fire right now.
Yeah. Also the first like night after throwing rocks, you're like, whoa, my thighs. Like, that's not a feeling I felt in a while.
Do we want to talk about how late we stayed up after the circus? But
I think that's one of the most drunk I've ever been in my entire life. And I had to walk back to get his car the next morning, and I dry heaved like on separate occasions on the walk there because I thought I was dying. Also, completely off topic, but that same day was the day that I was introducing Sam to my parents. So it was right before the stroke where he got to meet everyone else.
So you're saying the circus may have caused some...
So we went to the dinner with my parents, and we were going to the Bruce in town, and my sisters were there. Maya's going to be so mad that I'm telling this, but Sam and I were so hungover. And my sister, I love her to pieces, but like is the messiest eater I've ever met in my entire life. And so she got fish and chips, but instead of fries, she got mashed potatoes. And she just like put her cutlery down like in the mashed potatoes, but that were also covered in ketchup, and then would like pick up her cutlery and then like touch her face. So she ketchup mashed potatoes on her face. She like scratched down hairs on her shirt, and I'm just like
So I feel like we should maybe explain to people. The Kincardine Curling Club has like a year-end event where like we just drink all the booze and all the food and everything, and we made a theme thing. So the night that we're talking about, we had a circus theme. So we actually had like a giant tent in the curling club, and like it was just a like you play two ends and you start drinking, and it was you, me, Olivia, or sorry, you are Olivia, you and me, Sam, Aaron, my mom, me, and I think Tammy was around her, but like we were the last ones there, and like we were there and we left and the sun was rising and we were calling cabs, all of us, to get home because we are way past the point of ever being able to get home walking or driving or otherwise.
It was a really long next day. It was a tough recovery from that night.
I was the other day, so like when I come to Kincardine, I usually go hang out with my friend, and like we went out drinking the one night, and I came home, and the next day we went to go visit my mom in Owen Sound, and like I'm hungover. I was really hungover for this visit, to the point where like I went to get into the hospital. My mom's sleeping, and I'm like, oh, thank God. But then my dad forced me to go back in and wake her up, and I'm like, hi mom, how are you?
Oh man.
So
your mom can party though.
Yeah, she can. She'll get back to it too eventually. When like, it's gonna be interesting, her first like when she's back to normal and everything, it's gonna be interesting to see what party that is, sort of thing.
Oh yeah, it'll be a blowout.
So the Kincardine Curling Club kind of changed your life. So you're going to be the chef of the club for future events and everything.
No thanks. I just want to go and enjoy my time in the club. I haven't curled in 2 years now since I went to school. So I'm looking forward to just being a member and paying my volunteer fees.
Yeah, no, it's if you're like a person that has like, social anxiety, I would recommend, trying curling, because it's the most chilled like social event that you'll probably go to, in my opinion anyways.
Also, like, you don't have to be good at curling.
You don't have to be. Yeah,
you don't have to be at all. I remember I signed up, so I was like, I'm gonna start curling, and then I went to one and I was like, I don't know about this. And Sam, my now husband, was at Bean's Bistro, the place that I worked at the time, while I was talking about this, and he's like, you should come on Thursday nights, it's really only about the snacks. And then so I started going on Thursday nights, and that's when I decided that I liked it, because you got to find the right night. It has to be the fun night. It can't be a serious night or like a night that with a low turnout. I think my thing was like, I want to go to a night where there's not very many people because they don't know what I'm doing, so that will make it less intimidating. But then it just made it really boring. So you should like go to the fun night.
Like if you go to a club and you go and ask them like, hey, what's the fun night? And they're like, what fun night? Probably not the spot you want to go to. You want to go to a spot where like they have a designated night where it's like you play maybe 6 ends and you have drinks afterwards, sort of thing. You don't want to have like a competition sort of thing when you're first getting into it.
Yeah.
So you met Sam at curling. What did he try and do any curling inspired one-liners to you or anything like that? Because he's very cheesy sometimes. He can
be cheesy, but he didn't like. I ended up having to tell a mutual friend that I had a crush on him before he asked me. I wasn't even on his radar. I had to pursue him.
And he probably brags about that to his friends all the time.
Probably. Since then, I've been like, why do you think I stuck around and talked to you about moose hunting for like an hour one night? And he was like, I just thought that you were into it. And I was like, no. Do I look like someone who would be into moose hunting? No. Hard no.
Now, with your background as a chef, could you do something with a moose?
Oh, I could definitely do something with a moose. But
would you?
Oh, for sure I would. I like game meat. He's brought home moose before when he's gone out to Newfoundland. It came back with quite a bit of hair on it, which was odd. I guess not that odd, but like kind of unappetizing.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things I regret not getting to do is like go moose hunting when I lived there for 2 years, because like it seemed like such a big part of the culture.
Yeah. His friends are from Newfoundland, so he would go with them to like their cabin. And I don't know that I don't think he shot a moose. I don't think he had I think he was more just like there for beers and good times.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, could I shoot a moose? Probably after a few dozen beers. Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be able to do it sober. I'd be like, no, the eyes have soul. I can't.
It'd be hard.
So you've graduated chef school now, and now you mentioned that you're starting your own business in Kincardine. So tell me more about that. Tell me more about that, please.
Well, I'm just going to be doing, the Ontario government changed its laws for what home-based businesses can do, or like they're now allowing home-based businesses. So I had Greyburst Public Health come into my home and inspect it. And so now there's like a list of things that I can do. They're like low risk foods. But right now I'm planning on doing like croissants and danishes, pies, ham pies, some cookies, and like a limited amount of cakes. I don't want to do custom order cakes. They're what my nightmares are made of. I hate them. I won't sleep at night. Leading up to it, I'll be just like way too stressed out. So I feel like I need to be the kind of person that's like, here's what I have. You can buy it if you want to buy it. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to buy it. Please don't make me do anything special that looks like a Paw Patrol person. Like, don't make me do it.
I think you'll probably do the odd special cake, but only for like friends sort of thing. I feel like that's type of
Yes, probably. And like I would do custom orders for things that were not like where people would let me just be like, oh, I would like something in this flavor. I would like scones, or I would like pies or something. But I cannot have someone be like, I want a champagne themed birthday cake that's got a Coach purse and things like that. That is not my jam. I am not about that.
So like before you were mentioning how you're like, you have a fridge in your living room now. So like how exciting is it to kind of like start this new venture?
I would say it's more terrifying because I'm like, what if no one wants to buy anything? What if I just
but that's the thing. That's where I have to tell you, like, you don't have to stress about that because it's Kincardine and Kincardine supports their own. So you're going to do fine. Plus, I've eaten your food. My wife, who is a big foodie, has eaten your food. And we all agree that you have delicious treats.
Yeah, I find it like quite nerve-wracking, especially because like there's a very popular baker in Kincardine, and she makes really nice squares, and she has like a cult following. And I remember being at the market last time, and people would come up to me and ask if I was her, and then I'd have to be like, no, she's that way, she's over there.
And like, we'll give a shout out to like that's Best Friends, right?
No, Back 40 Baker.
Oh, okay. Well, I like both those places, so we'll give a quick shout out. If anyone is ever in Kincardine, go check out those places and just buy all the snacks from Kincardine. Just buy all the pastries. It's gonna be great. So, you now have your own business? Are you gonna do like experiment with stuff? Like, can you experiment with like CBD stuff? Can you experiment with like different pastries? Or like how?
I honestly haven't even thought about doing like CBD or like weed things at all. Mostly because like I take CBD to go to sleep like every single night. I wouldn't know where to even begin. I'd have to do a lot of research about like how to effectively infuse foods, and I just don't know if that's what I want to be doing. Mm-hmm. I think that there's lots of people that they're like, this is exactly what I want to do. And so they're passionate about it. And so they should do that thing.
But is this the kind of like the highlight of like being able to have it, is that you can experiment and have fun with that? Like you can be like, might as well try doing something with, crepes or some shit like that,
Oh, 100%. That is exactly why I want to be doing this, is so that I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. And hopefully I will be able to attract the kind of clientele that is like wants to try something new, that doesn't want the same thing every week, because that is not what I want to do. When I was at school, a girl that I went to school with asked me, so Olivia, you love to bake. What's your favorite thing to bake? And I was like, oh, that's a good question. The next thing. I just want to be making the next thing. I want to make something until it's unforgettable, and then I want to not make it again probably for a long time, and I want to make something new until it's incredible, and then I don't want to make it again.
You know what? I think that's probably a perfect way to wrap this podcast up. Olivia, where can people find you on Instagram, Twitter, that sort of thing?
I have 2 Instagrams. Maybe I should only have one and condense them, but my personal account is at Hinchbergler, Hinchburglar, and my like small business baking is at Yellow Brick Baker on Instagram.
All right, and that's if anyone here listening is in the Kincardine, Ontario area, the Graybers County area, check out Olivia's baking shop. Olivia, thanks for coming on today, and I will see you in the near future, hopefully when the lockdown's done.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Well, guys, that's a wrap on episode 1 of Hello, How Are You Today? I hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Oliva Hinchberger. Again, if you want to follow her, check her out at Yellow Brick Bakery on Instagram. Again, it's Yellow Brick Bakery on Instagram. If you want to follow me, at NeverFullMitchie on Twitter and on Instagram. It's a nickname that my friends gave me about how you should never go full Mitchie, which I guess is a compliment, not a compliment. But I decided to roll with it, and I hope you guys decide to roll with me on this podcast. So until next week, take care and have fun, and check on your neighbors. Cheers.